We are now live
All
on
right.
Facebook, and this is being recorded. So everyone, this is definitely being recorded and will be posted tomorrow in Facebook, Workplace, and wherever else.
All right.
Walter, appreciate having you here today to teach us about the things that we all need to know about, which is time management. So Heather, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. I want to welcome Walter Key. He is from North Carolina live. Walter is here to talk about time management and how to structure our day. And as I was saying, if you weren't listening before, I think all of us can pretty much agree that we have some type of problem with managing our day, whether we have a second job or this is our second job, or we're juggling clients, whatever, a sale, whatever it is in our life, we definitely need to get some kind of help in that. So we have Walter Key coming in to talk about time management. Walter, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. Time management is an interesting one. I tell people all the time, especially in the agent world, most agents don't have a knowledge problem. They have an execution problem because they know what they need to do. They just can't put it into action. And so I truly believe that if you can manage your time better and learn to do the things that you know you need to do anyway, business becomes unlimited at that point. And I've seen that with folks. And it's not just real estate, that's anything. So I'll give you a quick example. I was saying before we went live, I did a couple decades in the military. I was active duty Navy still when I decided to get into real estate. So I was doing full-time Navy job, right? You don't get to choose your hours. You're there. There's no clocking out early. But I was also trying to build a real estate business. And so I went from a brand new agent to top producer in my market in a year while working a full-time Navy job. And the reason that I was able to do that was simply some basic time management to help me structure my day so I could focus on the Navy job when I had to, and I could put effort into the real estate job as well. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Whether you're in real estate, whether you've got personal goals, if you want to go run a marathon, this will be useful in really any aspect of your life. So that's what we'll dive into today. So I won't bore you by reading this slide. This is high level stuff, what we're going to cover today. Like I said, 29 years in the military, I kind of learned the discipline and time management by default there. And then I used that in my real estate business to be very successful. I now coach other agents with a company called Double Your Income Coaching. This is one of the courses that I teach to help agents do better. I also use that marathon analogy because I'm a former marathon runner. And so it's definitely some structure into that training plan. So this will be beneficial as we go through. I'm going to dive right into the course material. All right, so the first thing we got to talk about, when you talk about time management, everybody wants to be more productive every day, right? We all know this. We want to do the things that we need to do, but what are those things that we need to do? And so most people want to structure their day better, but if you don't start with a big picture and know where you're trying to get to, it becomes very difficult to execute proper time management because you don't know what those tasks are that you need to do every day in order to get where you want to be next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So any good time management has to start with a little reflection, some long-term goal planning, right? Where do I want my business to be a year from now, 5 years from now? What legacy do I want to leave at some point? And then you walk that back. So I tell people, if you're not the type to do a 5-year plan, that's okay. But you at least need to really sit down and decide for yourself, where do I want my business to be in 12 months? Because a 1-year goal is really the baseline to put together the rest of your time management. You just have to do that. You have to take some time and look at where you want to be in order to baby step this out. And so you take a 1-year goal, and we'll break that down into monthly milestones that you can easily keep yourself accountable to because every month you look and you say, am I where I want to be? Do I need to do a little more of the things that I need to do because I'm not quite hitting the mark to keep me on track for the year? Again, using that marathon analogy, a few years ago, I wanted to run a marathon and my goal time was 2 hours and 45 minutes, which for anyone that knows anything about running, that's fairly quick. That marathon was essentially a 9-month long goal because you have to build your base of mileage, you have to do a marathon plan, you have to be very rigid, you have to do daily workouts. But starting with, I want to run a 2:45 marathon, I was able to walk that back, break it down into how much mileage do I have to do every month? How many runs do I have to do every day to get to the mileage I want? To be able to have the base to put my marathon training into place and actually go run that marathon. And I missed the mark. I did not run a 2:45. I ran a 2:46. So I missed it by a minute. I was still pretty darn happy. Another analogy I use for this is, I spent 20 years in the military, and one of the things we're always looking to do, either corporate or military, is keep the bad guys from getting our gear, our equipment, our weapons, our technology. Because what they'll do is they'll take the finished product and they'll break it down and they'll reverse engineer it. And they'll say, if I have one that's done, I can figure out how to replicate this. And now I can make them myself, and we lose the advantage. That's really what the 1-year goal does for you. It gives you a construct of a finished product, right? Where do you want to be? And it allows you to break it down and reverse engineer your own success to get you to the end result you want. And by doing it that way, you can break this into daily actions that, if I want to, this is my monthly milestone, I got to do this many hours of that thing every week. And so I'm going to do that thing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 2 hours a day to get where I want to be. And so it really gives you a way to create your own momentum and work productively and in a disciplined manner towards your goal. And so you have to think big picture. So let's use a real estate example really quickly. Who wants to make $250,000 a year? That seems like a very fair, reasonable example. It's not too hard to do in the military or in the real estate industry. So if I'm going to make $250,000 a year, what's that look like in a monthly? Well, we take $250,000, we divide it by 12. That's my monthly milestone, is I need to be closing enough business to do that much money. It's roughly 20 grand, call it an easy 20,000 a month. Well, that sounds like a lot when you say $250,000, but if I break that down monthly, I said, well, that's only $20,000 a month. Okay, well, how do I close enough deals to do $20,000 a month? Well, I need to be doing enough transactions. I need to be having enough customer base. I need to have enough database. How do I get those transactions moving? What am I going to do? Am I going to prospect Facebook groups? Am I going to cold call? Am I going to door knock? Am I going to network with retirement communities and do listings for retirement communities? There's so many different great ways to build business. You just have to determine for yourself, which ways am I going to use? And if I want to do $20,000 a month in business, how many calls do I have to make? How many appointments do I have to set? How many hours on the phone do I have to be building new relationships and adding to my database? And then you can break that out into, if this is how much I have to do in a month, what do I need to do every single day to get to that goal? And so that's kind of the big picture of what we're going to talk about. And we're going to dive in. Does any drop questions in the chat, if you will. And then as soon as we wrap, whatever questions we've gotten in the chat, we'll answer those first, and then we'll open this up as well to more. So let's keep trucking. All right, so time management 101, that was the big picture stuff. After you've figured out big picture stuff, like I know what I want to do, now you can start putting this in action. So this meeting with yourself, this is how important this is. I want everyone to stop what they're doing right now. Grab your phone, grab your day planner, whatever you're using for a calendar, get it out right now. And go to your calendar. There you go. Perfect. Go to your calendar. Everybody go to Sunday on your calendar. Then you'll notice on mine, it's already there, that little blue, 7 p.m. every single Sunday. And I want you to pick a time on Sunday evenings. What usually works well is something after dinner, but before your bedtime, right? The day has wound down. There's nothing else going on. You can squeeze out a half an hour of quiet, thoughtful time. So sometime between after dinner and before bed, block 30 minutes on your calendar right now on Sunday evening, have a meeting with yourself. Now if you're using an electronic calendar, set that to repeat automatically every Sunday. So it's always there. For me, it's 7 p.m. every single Sunday. I have a meeting with myself, 30-minute time frame. Now, before we would walk away from the calendar, think for a moment about a space that you can get to that's going to be quiet. Maybe that's your dining room because the rest of the family's in the living room watching TV now and your dining room is quiet. Maybe that's in the bedroom because that's the only room you got where you can shut the door and the kiddos aren't running around making noise. Maybe that's in your car, right? That's okay, right? I got 3 kids, 6 dogs, and a cat who thinks she's a dog. I got a busy, loud house. If you got to get in your car for 30 minutes, do that, because that's how important this meeting is going to be. Because what this is going to allow us to do is every Sunday, we're going to plan out our week day by day based on a priority list of what we know we need to accomplish. So everybody got that on the calendar? All right, congratulations. You're already one step ahead of the rest of the world because they haven't ever put anything on their calendar. So we're already making progress. All right, so why did we do the meeting for yourself? Let's move on to the next slide. We did that because every single Sunday, we are going to prioritize what we have coming up for the week, and we're going to budget that stuff out day to day on our calendar so that we can execute the things we need to do. And how do we do that? So this is Walt Key's way to do it. If you have another way, that's perfectly fine. There are other ways. I've been wrong before. It happened once in '87. It'll happen once again sometime. This is a decent way. It might not be the only way.
Really fast, Walt, I just want to say, can you let everybody know if we can get these slides from you in case they're missing something or they want to print them at home, they can have them?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to email me,
I just want to make sure it's okay if we can put them in our group chats.
Yeah, can you take the PDF and put them in the files section of the page?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, by all means, please share. Okay, so the priority levels. I used 3 basic priorities. Again, you can do this differently, but this seems to work well. Priority number 1, the very first things we're going to put on our calendar are the cannot miss items, right? I don't have a choice on when these take place. They have to happen. So if my daughter has a dance recital, I can't move her dance recital, right? I don't get to pick that time. That's got to happen. I don't get to choose when my doctor sees me because he's a professional. He owns his calendar, just like we do in real estate. We're professionals. We should own our calendar. I can't call my dentist and say, hey, I want to see Dr. Smith Wednesday at 2, book it, right? I have to work that around his schedule. So those things are absolutely, I can't move them. I don't have control over the time, but they have to happen. That's priority number 1. Put those on your calendar first. Get those out of the way. You may not have any one week. You may have a bunch the next week. That's okay, but they got to get on there first. Once those cannot miss items are on the calendar, we'll move to priority 2, which is going to be the must-do items, right? These are the things that you get to control, but in order for you to move your business or to move your goal where you want it to be, you have to do these things. You choose when you do them, but you have to be doing them. So a quick example, I've got a couple, ideas there on the slide. Listing appointments, right? If you want to close deals, you got to do listing appointments. Obviously, in this environment, you don't necessarily have to be at your closing, but if that's something you do, budget your closings if you have any that week. Your active prospecting. This is what we teach at Double Your Income Coaching. I'm sure everyone has tons of ideas about how to actively prospect, whether you're getting your business through Facebook groups, you're doing marketing, you're cold calling, you're door knocking, you're calling landlords, you're doing first-time home buyer seminars, whatever it is that you want to do business, you have to budget that out on your calendar, because here's the reality of life. If it's not on your calendar, it will not happen. It's as simple as that. If it's on your calendar, your time is protected. Nobody else gets to step over it. So all of those things, right? Follow up, relationship building. I'm going to have coffee with this lender to do some networking. I'm going to touch base with my sphere of influence or my past clients and see how they're doing. Whatever it is that you know you need to do, that's the time to budget that out on the calendar. Now, once that's on the calendar, everything else that you want to accomplish, wherever you can fit it on the calendar, put it on the calendar. That can literally be anything you want. But we prioritize it this way because it's very easy for people to say, I know conceptually, I need to be on the phone 2 to 3 hours a day, 3 times a week, calling if that's what I want to do to prospect. I know that I need to, but if it never goes on my calendar, something else always gets in the way. And then the week goes by and I haven't done anything I knew I needed to do. And then the year goes by and I didn't do $250,000 in sales, and I'm wondering what happened. And that's why we prioritize this. So if you have questions about how to prioritize this, drop your question in chat. We'll absolutely get to it. But you got to prioritize, and you have to plug this stuff in on your calendar each day, right? So we took our big picture goal, we broke it into our monthly milestones. Those are the checkpoints to know we're on task. We're going to take that month and we're going to break it down by what do I need to do every day to get my monthly milestone met. Those are the things you're plugging into your calendar in that must do section. All right. Now, a quick note about technology. Especially in today's world, right? Not mentioning technology would be negligent almost. I saw you picked up your day planner on your desk. That's awesome. That's better than nothing by far. Leverage technology to your advantage. It will give you more time to do the things you need to do. And so, for example, if you can automate your follow-up systems, do that. A couple quick examples. If I had 200 people in my database, I can't call 200 people a day and still do all the things I want to do. I can't build business if I'm following up with 200 people a day or a week, whatever it is. So instead, what I do, and again, this is just Walt Key's way to do it, I do a weekly newsletter that goes out to my entire database every single Wednesday morning. It's 20 minutes of my time. If you looked at my calendar, you'd see that it's a 30-minute block every single day of the week of the same day. And I send out a weekly newsletter to all of the hundreds of people in my database every single week. That's 52 touches a year. Nobody forgets my name. I do lots of business from my database, lots of business from referrals. That's completely free. I don't pay for a newsletter. I do it myself. And it's an automated follow-up that I leverage the technology that's out there. All I have to do is put the email in the database, keep it updated, and then every time I hit send, it goes. You can literally automate it to send at the exact minute you want it to. Another option is a text campaign. If you're not big into email and you want to use a text campaign, take your database, put them into one system, and automate a text campaign so that you touch base with them once or twice a month to stay top of mind. That way you don't have to try to call everybody in order to keep top of mind with your database. So that's just a couple simple examples of the way technology can really help you leverage your business. Calendar management, right? If you're using a paper calendar or a day planner, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's better than not doing anything. But if you can do an Outlook calendar or a Google calendar that can integrate with other systems, like for me, because of the coaching that I do a lot of coaching calls. And so I will give people my calendar and they can book that coaching call and it'll automatically sync with my Gmail. It's a Calendly app, syncs to my Gmail. They know when I'm available. And when they book it, I'm no longer available because they booked the time. And so that technology keeps me from having to juggle back and forth and look at it and say, well, am I available here or there? It really automates the process for you and it leverages your own time back. And then it allows you to set reminders as well so you don't forget anything. Okay, last thing about technology, especially in today's world, if you can do a conference call rather than be in person, why wouldn't you? Right here we are on Zoom, but what's to keep you from doing a buyer rep agreement on Zoom? What's to keep you from having a conversation with somebody that you're not necessarily showing them a house, but you just want to have an initial conversation? Could you do that on Zoom? And then review the paperwork with them with a screen share and then send it to them to electronically sign. It's going to take you the same amount of time and you're going to have the same conversation, but you saved however long it took you to drive back and forth and you saved the gas. What could you potentially put that 30 or 45 minutes of drive time back into in your business? Doing that multiple times a month adds up.
Walter, that brings up a really great point, especially here. We actually did something about having pre-videos already done on how to sign certain paperwork, especially with seniors. They need the time and the help, especially hand-holding during certain things, or they may miss things. So when you're talking about signing, it's a great idea. We did something, I think was it Sheila who helped us do something on a recording with stuff and how to correct?
Nice.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah,
Sheila.
you can absolutely do that. You
Yeah.
can create your own webinars. Just like we're doing a Zoom here, there's nothing that says you can't record yourself reviewing a document and send them the link to review. You
And
don't
that's
have
and
to
now
take
with,
that time to get in front of them. And that really, it sounds so simple, but if it takes me 45 minutes of driving round trip to do the same conversation I could have automated, I now have 45 minutes, potentially multiple times a month, to pour back into the things I know I need to do to get me where I want to be. And so leverage that technology every chance you get. All right, that's enough about technology for now. Now, protecting your calendar. I took this screenshot. This is a random Thursday that's already happened in my calendar. It looks busy, but for me, that feels like a pretty normal day. For people that don't use calendars, you're like, holy moly, what's all that stuff? I'm going to break it down a little bit. Okay, so we talked about first things first, we have to identify those priorities, right? We have those figured out. I know what I need to do. I know what I want to do. I got to do the needs first and everything else. For me, the workout is a must do. Like, it's not an option for me, but the good thing is none of my clients are up at 5 a.m. So it's easy to put it in there. Then you're going to budget your time. This is where we're going to talk a little bit about time blocking. Use at least a 30-minute interval. A lot of people will, well, that'll only take me 12 minutes. Use a minimum of a 30-minute interval. And I'm going to explain why in a second. You see the next bullet there says, do not multitask. I could show you scientific study after scientific study. Neurosurgeons in the medical field have studied this for the last several decades. Multitasking is a fallacy. You cannot multitask better than you can do one singular primary task. It's proven over and over and over again. Now, the data points that I have here are from actual clinical studies that have been done. I didn't pull this out of thin air. When you try to multitask, you are 3 times more prone to error, and you are 40% less efficient at whatever you're trying to do. So you'll notice on my calendar, there's only one item that's doubled. And that's literally because it's a 2-minute task before I drive to a coffee meeting. I have to take a picture of my odometer for my tax guy. Nothing else is doubled because you need to focus on the primary task at hand before you move on to the next. Now, another thing that they've studied and they've realized is that the brain takes about 15 minutes to process a proper shift from one primary task to another primary task. So if you're trying to do 5 or 6 little 10-minute things, you're essentially jumping back and forth and they're not going to be efficient. That's why I say do at least a 30-minute block. So if there's something that you know is going to take you 12 or 15 minutes, block 30 minutes anyway, and so that you're not trying to jump immediately to the next thing and making that next thing less efficient. If you need a 90-minute block, by all means, block a 90-minute block. But think about things in increments of 30 minutes, and that will help you budget your time. It'll keep you from being so rushed to go from one thing to the next that you drop something and now you look bad because your client's waiting on you because you're late. Just a couple things there. So they actually studied adult men doing an IQ test and then doing the same IQ test while multitasking. And they determined that their IQ actually dropped to that of an 8-year-old child when they were trying to multitask multiple primary tasks while having their IQ studied. Don't try to do too many things at once. Focus on those priorities and one thing at a time. That will really make your day efficient. And obviously, if you have a 40-minute task and you book an hour, that's okay because you buy 20 minutes back to clear your head. You get focused on the next thing before you dive into it. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody shake your head up and down like this. That makes sense to everybody. Okay, perfect.
Yes, it does. Although there is a quick question about what is the technology you are using for text campaigns?
So I use an email newsletter. So I personally don't use a text campaign. There are some great text campaign systems out there. I don't know of any that are free. And even though I make a lot of money in real estate, I'll be the first to admit I'm a cheapskate. Free is a good price. So if there's something that I can do for free, I'm going to do it for free. For me, I use MailChimp to do my weekly newsletter because it's 100% free. It's just as good as Constant Contact, except I don't have to pay for it. I don't know of a text campaign that's free. There are some out there that are pretty inexpensive, and you can have thousands of contacts, and it's very inexpensive per month. You'd have to look into a couple of those on your own. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But for me personally, I use MailChimp in a newsletter. All right, so let's keep chugging. And this is going to be really the last slide before we dive into Q&A. I think this is just critically important to mention, because this is a problem that I see in a lot of agents, regardless of what I'm teaching, what coaching call I'm doing, what agent, what brokerage, what area. I see this problem a lot, and it's important when you're trying to manage your time, because time management is a discipline thing, right? It's an execution thing. Most people, like I said at the beginning, they don't have a knowledge problem. They fundamentally know what they need to do, and if they don't, they can learn that, right? They can dive in with another agent and say, hey, how do you do this? What makes sense? And they can learn it, and that's great. The execution is where it falls apart. And so these definitions that are on the screen, these are literally screenshots directly from Google. I did not cherry pick these definitions. These are like Webster's or some other popular, and top of the list when you just Google the definition. So you'll notice motivation, right? Let's read the definition. The act or process of motivating. What the heck does that even mean? The state of being motivated. Well, if it's a state of being, that state of being could change at any moment, right? Something that motivates, an inducement or a reason. So I have to have that catalyst to motivate me, right? So some of you might get motivated by the fact that I'm telling you how to time manage, but as soon as the motivation wears off, because it's a state of being, right? It's that you have to have that reason to be motivated. As soon as that motivation wears off, the execution goes away. I'll use my marathon training as an example. I was training for a marathon while in the Navy, right? I show up at work. I don't get to choose that, right? I'm at work. It's the United States Navy, right? You show up to work on time. So for me to train for a marathon, my alarm clock went off in the 3 o'clock hour every day, including the weekend. Knowing that I wanted to run a 2 hour and 45-minute marathon, and watching the Olympic marathon runners and watching races motivated me to want to do it. But at 3 a.m., there's no motivation. You either are disciplined enough to get out of bed or you're not. And so if we look at discipline, training expected to produce a specific character or pattern of behavior, right? That's far more detailed than it's kind of a state of being motivated. Discipline is the training and the acts, right? I love that second definition. The control obtained by enforcing compliance or order, right? You gain control over your business or your personal goals by forcing yourself to hold accountability to whatever it is you need to do. Now, your calendar helps a lot with that, because a properly managed calendar with a reminder is your own accountability measure, right? If you need someone to call you at 3 a.m. to tell you to get out of bed to go run, to get the marathon going, you're not going to run the marathon. And so motivation becomes very fickle, right? It sounds good. And if we hear a really nice speech, we might get amped up for a little while, but then we're going to sit down, we're going to have dinner. And by tomorrow morning, we're probably not as motivated as we were. So we have to be disciplined enough to put these processes in place and execute on the things we know we need to do. And that's where the calendar comes in. Okay. Discipline will build habits. Habits will create the winning solution to whatever your goal is, whether it's your business or your personal life. So you have to find a disciplined approach. Motivation is fickle and it will wear off.
So basically, we need to train our brains or retrain our brains, because
Exactly.
most of us are kind of all over the place. I say ADD over here, but I get it now by looking at this, and it's just retraining our brain to be a little more in line. And and it's so easy when you explain it.
It is easy. It's not a knowledge problem. It's an
no. And
problem.
Amy Roberts even said in the chat box, she said that explains it a bunch. It really makes it much easier on people like myself. It's not so overwhelming when you hear, oh my God, time management. You're like, oh my God, I got to manage this too. Like I'm trying to manage my brain.
There's a survey done. I don't remember how many years ago it was done now, but it was a survey done by realtors who paid for coaching. And they said, how much do you pay? And what are you paying for? What are your top things you need that coach to do for you? Now, you would think if a real estate agent is paying a coach they're looking for things like the secret sauce. How do I get more listings? How do I do more deals? What's the strategy? The number one and number two thing that every agent said they needed their coach for was motivation and accountability. So here you are paying thousands of dollars a month for some guy to get on the phone with you once a week to try to motivate you, but the motivation is going to wear off by tomorrow. You're wasting your time and money. You want someone to hold you accountable, but in reality, if you plan this week out, your calendar will hold you accountable because you're going to see it. All you have to do is pull up your phone and you'll see the reminder, hey, in 30 minutes, chucklehead, you better be on the phone making those calls. And you build your own accountability, which leads to the discipline that gets you to where you want to be. So the marathon analogy is a great approach, right? You have to log those miles. You have to. And there's nobody up with you at 3 a.m. to motivate you and give you a rah-rah speech. You just have to do it. And so it is very much a mental exercise. You have to get to a point where the goal you're trying to reach is more important than the temporary, comfort of your bed, so to speak, hypothetically speaking. And you will sit down and budget out your week on the calendar so that you can hold yourself accountable and be disciplined. Now, here's another great way to use this. Everyone that's watching this right now might be motivated by a cool looking dude in a Hawaiian shirt to go put something on their calendar. We already know that on Sunday, there's going to be a calendar reminder and they're going to plan their week. But it's only Tuesday, folks. What are you going to do between now and Sunday when this speech has wore off and you're no longer motivated to plan out your week? You've still got all of this week to go be disciplined. And so I highly would recommend, if you have the time, either tonight or tomorrow morning, budget out this week, at least get a rough draft, right? What are some things that you need to start putting on your calendar? Build the habit now, and you'll refine it every week, right? You'll tweak it. You'll realize that now I need to work this a little bit different. I need a gap in this time frame because, oops, I forgot to eat lunch, whatever it is. But start building that habit now, and it'll go a long way for you. All right, so it's 7:33. I was hoping to keep this fairly short so we could open it up for questions. I'm going to unshare my screen, and then let's chat. What do we got in questions?
Anybody? I'm looking in the chat box.
So Amy's got.
Okay, what time do I go to bed to wake up at 3?
Wake up at 3 o'clock.
So now I don't train for marathons anymore. So I don't get up usually until the 5 o'clock hour or sometimes the late 4 o'clock hour. So I feel lazy now, right? I'm sleeping in. I am typically in bed before 9:30. And if I can get 7.5 hours of sleep, I'm gold. If I can get 7, I'm still perfectly functional. And so like legitimately for me, if I get more than 8 hours of sleep, I'm groggy. So 9:30 to 5 is 7.5 hours. That's perfect for me. I can get up, I can work out. I can be more productive from 5 to 9 before most people even wake up than the average agent will be all day. And that's, I don't want to brag. I didn't come on here to brag. I went from a brand new agent with a full-time Navy job to a 6-figure agent in the top 5% of his MLS with closed transactions in a year. That required me to be disciplined and do the things that I'm telling you to do. It's not rocket surgery, right? Anyone can do it. You just have to take that disciplined approach, think ahead, work it back. If I want to be here in a year, where do I have to be in a week? Where do I have to be in a month? What do I have to do every day to get there? And then put it on the calendar and hold yourself accountable, because nobody else will give you the discipline to build your business the way you want it.
So typical morning from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock, what is it that you've got on your calendar typically?
So it's a little different now because I do a lot more coaching than I do business building, because I've built up a great database, and I'm in transition right now I'm selling another neat side effect of being disciplined. I'm actually selling my Virginia business to another agent for a lot of money. And then I'm going to start completely over in Virginia. So what my day will look like is 5 a.m. I'll roll out of bed, I'll work out, I'll grab a shower, I'll eat breakfast. For me, it's a very structured breakfast. It's oatmeal, banana, black coffee every day. By about 7 a.m., I've scanned the MLS to see what new listings have popped up. I've started sending out any follow-up text or emails from stuff that came in late the night before. I'll follow up in a morning follow-up for that stuff. And then I try to be what I used to do to build my business is I'm a big conversationalist. So I would get on the phones with lots of people. So on Mondays at 9 a.m., I was calling geo leads in the neighborhoods I wanted to do business. And I would do that for a few hours up until lunch. And so every single Monday from about 9 to noon, I was on the phone calling neighborhoods that I wanted to do business in, just building relationships with people. On Tuesday, I would call expired listings. I don't really do that so much anymore because there's just not that many of them. On Wednesday, I would call for sale by owners. And again, 9 to noon, I would, my day until about lunch was always the same. 5 a.m. wake up, do my workout, eat my breakfast, scan the MLS, follow up on text and emails and phone calls. By 9 a.m., I'm on the phone until lunchtime. And that's literally how I built my business, was just that and the people that knew me already. I try to save my listing appointments, my buyer rep appointments, any kind of things like that until after the lunchtime, because the way I block out my calendar, nothing gets in the way of my productive business building activities, which back then we're calling people. Now I've learned another few bag of tricks, so I do some other stuff. So like I will actively prospect Facebook groups in my local market for keywords of posts that might indicate someone needs a real estate agent, and I'll reach out to them and see how they're doing and see what I can do, help them out. And so I'll do business from that. That's a whole different strategy that we teach of how to do business from Facebook groups. But so I'll budget some time for that a few times a week to just actively prospect with keyword searches. If there's a listing appointment, if there's something like that, I'll save my afternoon time and then I'll block that out. Now, because I do coaching, I do a lot of coaching calls. So what my day typically looks like, I'll grab an example for you. See if we can pull this up a little bit. I don't know how well this will show up, but you can see all those blue lines on my calendar. So 5 a.m. is the workout still, 7 a.m. is the morning follow-up. I've got multiple calls to agents blocked out for coaching calls. I got a business turnover meeting that I do every Thursday for that Virginia business. And so what works well for me is if somebody needs to book my time, I literally will send them the link to my Calendly app, and they can, because it syncs with this calendar, and they can see where I'm free from the hours that I say, like anytime from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or whatever you want to set, 9 to 5, whatever you want to do. And they can go, well, I want to talk to Walt, but he's not available until 2 to 4 p.m. tomorrow. I'll grab him at 3. They can book directly to my calendar, and then it automatically sends me a notification, hey, your calendar just got this thing on it. And that allows me, again, to automate, but still manage my time so that nothing gets overbooked. Because that's the worst, right? You book something already, but you're on the phone and they're like, well, can we do 2 o'clock tomorrow? Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do 2 o'clock tomorrow. And then you realize, crap, I had a 1:30 that's going to take an hour. Now who do I shuffle? I gotta manage that because I've overbooked. And so that Calendly app has been great to let people see my availability. It doesn't show them my calendar, right? They don't see what's on it. They just see when I'm available so they can book it.
So one of the other ways that I know a lot of folks can win business is to book vacations, because we all know the minute that you try to go on vacation, you get busy. And that's just the beast of the business. So if you book a vacation every other month, I'll guarantee you'll have more business.
That's 100% true. So I am sitting in my vacation condo as we speak in North Carolina. I've been here about 5 days. Just me and the wife, we got away from it all. Thankfully, the guy I'm turning over my business to, I've sent him probably half a dozen texts and a couple phone calls, and he's been showing houses and wrangling clients that otherwise would have been business every single time I take a vacation. You're absolutely right. Business blows up. So if you're bored, either actively prospect or take a short vacation and you'll do business. What else do we got for questions?
Do you pay for ads?
I do not. So as I said at the beginning, if it's free to the right price, I'm a cheapskate. I pay for a RedX subscription. It's $50 a month, so I can get those geo leads I want. And that's about the extent of my budget. The money I make, I keep. The things that I teach are almost always free or incredibly cheap. And then you can add some marketing to it if you want to. But for example, prospecting Facebook groups is 100% free. All you have to do is join the Facebook groups in your market in the similar interests that you have. Be active and engaged with them, which you can budget a 30-minute time block to do. And then look for the people that might need your help. That's 100% free. Now, there's some crafting and the messaging on how you reach out to them that makes it more efficient, but that's 100% free. If you want to work with buyer clients, host a first-time homebuyer seminar via Zoom. That's completely free. Doesn't cost you a dime. If you want to actively market that with like a Facebook or a Google ad, you absolutely could. You could pay a little money and you could market it, get it to more people. But actually hosting the first-time homebuyer seminar, completely free. Doesn't cost you a dime. Calling for sell by owners and seeing how you can add value to them and building that relationship with them. Because we all know this, right? This is a statistical fact. Every real estate agent knows this. Almost 90% of for sale by owners are going to list with an agent. That is a statistical fact. NAR has put that out over and over. I think it's like 87%, something like that. So if you do that correctly and not just sound like every other sleazy salesman that calls them, but you build a relationship with them, you'll list their houses when they're ready to list their house. That's completely free. It just takes your time. And so I time block calling for sale by owners because I really enjoy that conversation and building relationships with people. There's just a few things that I do to build my business. That, you know, there's a ton of other ones out there. Never been a fan of paying for leads. Never in my entire real estate business have I ever paid a dime to Zillow or Bold Leads or whatever else is out there. I think it's all garbage. I don't need somebody to send me random data to call. I'll just call the people I want to call, and I'll do business with those people. So, yeah, good question though, because a lot of people do that. A lot of people, they think they'll build their business just by paying for someone to send them data. But if you don't know how to have a good conversation with people, you don't convert those anyway, and you just wind up spending hundreds of dollars a month on data coming your way that doesn't help you any.
So what CRM are you using, or how do you keep track of people?
So I started with an Excel spreadsheet. Name, phone number, email on the spreadsheet. When I had clients, if we were listing a house, buying a house, once we had a house situated, I put the address on there as well. But the Excel spreadsheet is all of the emails I need to put them into MailChimp to send the newsletter. It would be all the cell phone numbers I needed if I was going to upload them to a text campaign and text them. For CRM specifically now, I used to use a CRM called Moxie Engage. It was a Moxie suite, if you know about those. It's pretty good stuff. It came free from my previous brokerage and I liked it, so I just went with it. Now with EXP, I have KV Core, so that's a phenomenal CRM and a marketing tool and everything else that it does. But honestly, old school is great. Track it on an Excel spreadsheet if you need to, because what you can do with the Excel is save it as a CVS file, and then any of those, text campaigns, any of those email systems, that's what they're going to want you to do is just upload a CVS file tabbed out so they can auto-populate all the contact data for your clients and start that follow-up plan. Hope that answered the question. What else we got? We got time, folks. No, it's only 7:44. Okay, I got questions. So let's do this. Everybody that's available, everybody that's available, drop a quick number in the chat box. How much business do you want to do in the next 12 months? And if you're shy and you don't want to say it, that's fine. Don't say it. I'll drop mine in here too, just so everyone sees it. 10 closings. Okay. So how do you get to 10 closings? God, you're cheating. That's easy. You can do 10 closings in a month. Come on.
Yeah,
okay,
we're going
200K. That's good. So what we talked about earlier, right? Let's use 200K as an example. If you want to do 200K in business, divide it by 12, you need to be doing $16,600 roughly, $16,700 a month. So that's your monthly milestone. I know that every month, at the beginning of the next month, I'm going to look and see where I'm at. Did I do 16.7 last month? If I did, cool. Replicate that. Do the same thing you already did. Now you know that you've got the system in place to do what you need to do. If you
Well,
miss
like-
the mark, then you need to think about how much more time or activity do I need to put in order to move my numbers where I want them, right? So every single month is a spot check to say, I didn't hit the mark. I got to do more of those activities to get where I want to be. So let's say, for example, you were doing an hour of Facebook prospecting a week, and you were doing 2 deals from that, but you needed to be doing 3 deals from that. All right, we'll do an hour and a half instead of an hour, and you'll pick up the other deal, right? It's not rocket surgery. You just got to break the numbers down for yourself. And if you hit it, great. All you have to do is repeat. If you missed it, you have time to adjust for the following month, breaking it down day by day. Hey, I was doing an hour and a half a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday on prospecting. I'm not getting there. I need to do 3 hours a day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on prospecting. So I'm going to block out more time on my calendar, shift that other morning appointment to the afternoon so I can focus on that time block of prospecting, right? Whatever it might be.
Do you have any time blocking for doing attractions within EXP? And how do you incorporate that into what your budget is for the year or your number?
Yeah, so I actually, I'm relatively new to EXP. And by relatively new, I mean, like, I think I'm officially EXP as of like 60 days ago. And I've got 4 people signed up. I've got 2 more that are wrapping up. And I've got a guy who's getting his license in the next few months who's coming in under me. So for me, the agent attraction is, it helps that I'm coaching, right? Because you coach a new agent and they're like, I like what you're doing. And I'm like, well, come on over and we'll do it together. For agent attraction, I don't have anything specific other than, you know, my coaching calls that I do and my Tuesday training that I do. And then I'm active in some really big Facebook groups because there's a lot of agents out there that just have questions. And I will always take the time to answer their questions, help them where I can, add value to people's lives. That sometimes translates into a Facebook message about, hey, I really appreciate that. Do you have time for some other questions? Sure. Yeah. Here's the link to my calendar. Book a half an hour. Let's chat. And then when they call me, what do you need? Where's your business at? Where are you trying to take it? How do we get you there? Oh, by the way, if you like what we're talking about, my EXP team does this stuff all the time, and you can get my knowledge as well as others. Why don't you think about jumping in? And I've done a lot of people that have moved over already just because, you know, they're asking the questions because they're not getting the support where they're at. And so when you give them that value, you answer those questions for them, you help people, they're already halfway there, because why would I not want to move somewhere where people actually care about helping me, right? And unfortunately, a lot of brokerages out there just don't. So sorry, that was a long-winded way to say, I do budget my coaching pieces and my calls, which is semi-agent attraction in and of itself, but I'm not actively budgeting, I'm going to do agent prospecting for an hour. I don't do that. Do you want to do more agent attraction? Is that a plan of yours, is to do more agent attraction and less transactions?
Yes, so I was told today I was a dinosaur. So because I've been in the business longer than 30 years. So very much so I'm transitioning into more attraction than real estate.
Gotcha.
And
I plan to do the same thing. Actually, my goal is in the next 5 or 10 years to not be doing any transactions and just be coaching full time for free and helping agents. And that will naturally do a lot more for the agent attraction. The best advice I think I could give you there, well, I'll give you a couple things actually. One, if you have a Facebook business page, you can post a job on your Facebook business page. So completely for free, your Facebook business page can post a job that you're looking for agents. You can do the same thing for free on Indeed.com, but you can put out an ad saying, I'm looking for agents to join my team. We're expanding. We have more leads than we can handle. We want some go-getters to come in and join us and crush it together. And you can make an actual job post for agents. That's an option.
Only if you're a team.
No, you don't have to even be a team. It's your Facebook page. If you want to.
You need to read your ICA.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll check that out. So the other thing you can do, and I find that this is true in just about any aspect of life, but it's just as true as in real estate, is if you get around other people that are new and just give them your value, right? You probably have a good ton of knowledge, you know, a lot about transactions, you know, a lot about the business. Just budget time to be in places where you can take some time to answer questions and help people out. And then that conversation flows a little more naturally when you say, hey, listen, if you're interested in working with me so that you have access to me all the time, so I can answer the questions and help you build your business, I'd love to talk more about that. And, you know, there's some phenomenal videos out there. Again, you don't have to do it all yourself. Brent Crove's The Model Explained is a phenomenal video. There's others out there, but that one's great. If you're looking to do recruit another brokerage or another large team, there's another video out there that's specifically geared towards the teams and the independent brokerages. So leverage those videos that other people have already done for you, and just have the relationship start, right? Add value, answer questions, be helpful. And when it makes sense to transition the conversation to, hey, it sounds like you need, you know, XYZ. I think I have a great solution for that. Would you be open to watching a short video and let me know your thoughts? Right? You've already established the connection. You've already added value by helping them out. And you've identified their pain point of, I think what I'm hearing you say is you really need 1, 2, and 3. I think I have some solutions for you. Would you watch a short video and let me know if that makes sense to you?
Yeah, so the time blocking training came because Donald and I are in a situation. We're here in the villages together, small group. We won't ever call ourselves a team. We brought in 4 new agents and 4 brand new agents in the last month. And that sounds great, but now you've got a lot of hand holding and, oh my gosh, I've got a crisis, because I'm one of 2 mentors in the area, because we're 300 agents here, and as far as in our community. So, you know, it's back to the chicken or the egg. You know, you got to keep the business going because you want to make money off of revenue share, and you've got buyers and sellers calling you like crazy. And mine is setting priorities. What comes first, second, and third?
I got you. So what comes first is going to be a matter of maybe to a point, what do you need the most? Are you in a position where you could do less transactions, still get the bills paid, so that you can focus a little more time on training those new agents on how to do transactions, right? Because ultimately that's the goal, is teach those agents how to replicate your success so that you can walk away from it and they're successful and therefore you're successful. So if you're at a position where you can ease down on the transactions, still do some, but do less, so that you can free up a little time to do some dedicated training with those other agents, that will probably be a great ROI on your time. Are you a single agent, or do you have an administrator, a transaction coordinator, or is it just you doing it solo?
In the past, I've had admins that's helped. So I've had paid admins that do the calling that were very trained. They were realtors that didn't want to be realtors anymore, but they could on the phone.
Gotcha.
So I do have that, but I'm trying to transition out of real estate myself, running around, and to build the leads, to get the agents in, and to keep them busy. And that's the hardest thing. But I've always trained new agents, and I do a lot of training for this group. So it's the thing that just trying to, you know, I want to get more attraction, because you can't stop with 4. Right. I've already got, you know, how many we got? 8 at this point in our group, besides Donald and I. So we've, you know, it's the priority setting is my biggest problem.
So I got you. That makes sense. So everything I've done, I'm a solo agent. I'm no transaction coordinator, no admins. I've built my entire business myself. I don't know, I'm a control freak or a perfectionist or something. But I was going to say, leverage those people to help free up some of your time. I'll say 2 things. And again, this is just Waltke's opinion, so it's completely free. You get what you pay for. One, if you teach your agents to get their own leads, that frees up your time of having to try to find leads to give to your agents. It's the old, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. If you can teach your agents how to manage their time, how to actively prospect for their own business, and then help them be disciplined in that approach by giving them a little accountability. Hey, show me your calendar. When are you prospecting? Oh, Monday and Wednesday. Okay, cool. Call me on Thursday. Let's have a 15-minute conversation. How did it go on Monday? How did it go on Wednesday? Did those calls actually take place? What was your return on investment? Did you get some prospects? Rather than try to find those leads yourself and then parse them out to the agents, teach those agents how to prospect and build their own business. That's going to do more for you, because when you are, no kidding, ready to step away, you want them to be able to keep doing what you taught them to do. And if you don't teach them to do it, but you do it for them, when you step away, the production comes down, and therefore your rev share comes down. So find ways to teach them to do what they need to do. And there's so many great ways out there. I like cold calling. Some people think cold calling is an antiquated, technique and it doesn't work. They haven't cold called enough. Because if you do it right, it's still very effective. Door knocking, still very effective. Facebook, TikTok. I know a guy, no kidding, a coach at Double Your Income Coaching who did $100,000 in the last 6 months on TikTok.
Yes,
TikTok,
we know.
Instagram, YouTube, first-time homebuyer seminars via Zoom, pre-construction. Go meet up with some builders in your area and build a network and bring buyers to them. And there's so many ways that your agents, I call it prospecting for your personality type, right? I like having conversations with people, so I don't mind getting hung up on every now and then to get to a nice conversation. Not everyone wants to call people. That's okay. There's so many other things they can do that will still generate them business, but it'll fit their personality type better. And so they just need to explore those different options and find the ones that click with them, because once they find what clicks with them, they'll crush it in that area and they'll do more business than they can handle.
Thank you, Walter, so much for joining us. We're going to wrap it up. We have about 2 more minutes. I just wanted to introduce some people. We have Donald, Debbie Gentry, and Laura. We're part of the Seniors Network Board, and we want to thank everybody for coming. Next week, we are going to discuss designations and what they mean, what they can do for you, and how they can help you. So we're going to be working with that. Once again, I want to thank you again, Walt, for
My pleasure.
joining us. Any last questions from anybody? Floor is open. I have dropped the PDF down in the chat box. If you need it tomorrow, this recording will be up along with the PDF. Walt, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate
You're very welcome. No problem
Thank
at
you,
all.
Walter. Good information.
You're welcome.
Have a good day. We'll see you next week.
Come and visit us when you come into Gainesville area.
I sure will.
Give us a call. We'll be here.
Awesome.
I look forward to seeing you here in Florida.
Thank you, Walt.